For those of you asking about payouts regarding the previous bet series for Cost versus Zanster, I will check and confirm the score after this before we do the payouts, guys. Yeah. Welcome back to the broadcast. We have game number 2 underway. Let me just go give that a +1 there for Gungfubanda in the scoreboard down here. But in this PvP series, we find ourselves now at Deadwing. This is a map that I'm falling in love with on all aspects across all matches. There's a lot of cool ways to use and abuse this map, and we'll see if anyone does it or if this just ends up being something like proxy DTs. Spawning here in the top right corner of the map from Mouse Sports, it's the red Protoss player, HasuObs. And his opponent leading this series right now, 1-0. It is from the team PK, Planiki, the green Protoss, Gungfubanda. So what's really key about this, guys, is this match itself is not a qualifier match, but the next match is going to be a qualifying match. So the winner of this will go on to fight against Mini Razor, and quite frankly, I'm probably going to follow this series because Mini Razor is a guy who's captured my heart recently. I think both of these players are fantastic. One cheesier than the other in past experiences, but HasuObs is the guy I would have expected to take this series 2-0, quite frankly. I'm really glad I didn't have bets running or bet on this series myself, because for him to be down 1 versus Gungfubanda, I mean, that was a solid macro game out of both players. Again, kind of getting away from the fact that Gungfubanda might be known to be a little bit cheesy, kind of pulling the Stardust here where he doesn't do any cheese throughout the qualifiers and kicks a lot of ass. I mean, in a mirror matchup especially, it's really hard to find room to squeeze out those couple of minerals here and there, to get an expansion over your opponent, to get those extra probes chronoed out quickly, and able to just topple over and dominate. And that's precisely what we saw, guys. I mean, really, it didn't come down to a lot of the engagements. HasuObs took decent engagement angles, but he was always like a Colossus shy. He was always a couple zealots short. The run-bys from Gungfubanda were just the most magnificently disgusting things I've ever seen, since it was like sorry, one sec. Hate being sick. Since he would just segment off like 6 zealots and clear a whole mineral line, you know, like nobody's business, but it got the job done, and now we find ourselves in game 2. I think HasuObs might be up to something this game. I don't know that he would be the one to go for the proxy. I've seen him use oracles better than anyone else, though, if we're going to be completely candid here. But I think Gungfubanda is on a warpath today. You know, there's some players you know in StarCraft 2, some players that surprise you with what they do. It's not that he's surprising me that he's winning. It's surprising me that he's kicking so much ass with a macro game while winning. I mean, that's the best part. And if it wasn't this name, I wouldn't shout it out. We got double swallow counts coming out, guys, so possibly Blink versus Blink again. But not Base Trade TV, but Boostrude TV just subbed to the channel. I think that's actually a resub, if I'm not mistaken. But thank you, Boostrude TV, for having a hilarious name. Now, I would be a little bit surprised if this was the Dark Shrine. But it is! Out of both, no less! Oh my god! I was sure this was going to be Blink, only because, if nothing else, the map layout lends itself to Blink. But they're both going DTs. And when you both go DTs, sometimes it's a base trade scenario, but sometimes players will throw down that robo very quickly, sacrificing making 4, only able to make 3, or well, actually it's usually 3 gates at most, but able to make 2 instead of 3. You put that gas towards that robo so you can get an observer out and make sure you also won't die, but we'll see if this goes as high as 3 gates. It might just stick on 2 and go to the robo as well. There's a lot of places you can cut to get your mineral count, but this is kind of cool. HasuObs with the Mothership Core. I'm zooming in for no reason whatsoever, but he's actually going to pick off the pylon. This is going to cut out the proxy potential. There's still another pylon over here, but it eliminates one avenue of attack. This Stalker can't possibly win the fight because the Mothership Core grants vision over top of the high grass. And both players actually cutting that third gateway a little bit here to go for the robo instead. So with the robo coming down, both will have observers. There we go, English. But yeah, this is this is kind of cool. I have no idea how this is going to pan out. This is going to be awesome. Everything is awesome. Actually, it's probably copywritten. I probably shouldn't say that. But everything's cool when you're part of a team. The DTs work out pretty nicely here for Gungfubanda, or for HasuObs rather, because of course Gungfubanda's DTs have to walk from much, much further away. So in a base race, quote unquote scenario, this works out. Pylon blocks this off, and he's not paying attention with the Stalker. HasuObs does that. Stalker starts getting eliminated. Probes being pulled away, but the Observer's second for finishing pops the overcharge preemptively. He's going to clean up both these TTs. This is not going to be an issue. Actually, one does slip away. Other side of the field, though, Gungfubanda about to sneak in with his. The Observer's already done. And he might not need an... oh my god, I can't solo cast my combo away. He might not need an overcharge. Does pop it nonetheless. Tries to chase the DT down. Gungfubanda could have possibly gotten a probe swipe on the way out, but HasuObs maneuvered it accordingly. So both players open with DTs. Neither player really gets an edge in this game. I'd say the one difference would be Gungfubanda has his Nexus completing slightly sooner than that of his opponents. And it's that slightly sooner Nexus that might just pay off and getting him a probe or two to snowball his economy. It sounds so dumb to consider that a snowball, but I think if nothing else, guys, that last game in PvP specifically was a great demonstration of how economy can really influence this game. But yeah, just taking a deep breath here while we wait to move on with this. It's the nice thing about PvP. There's no pun intended, some calm before the storm, because there's never storm involved with this matchup. But it's, you know, rarely do you see fights around 50. Rarely do you see someone push out even around 100. You know, you kind of sit there comfortable until, I mean, honestly, if you're given the time, you want to max out before you push. It's kind of the bottom line of it. Maybe you try and do some harass versus other races, like you'll see PvT use Warp Prism Zealots in. Not really the case, though, for PvP, because HasuObs will have his whole army sitting at home, just like you would as Gungfubanda. So, I mean, the harass options are pretty much non-existent / very limited, but the Warp Prism is coming out, and actually, we may see the double Immortal Warp Prism, which is really fun to watch with Micro. If you guys have never seen that before, basically, it's almost impossible to deal with this without an air unit, because the Stalkers die so quickly to the Immortals, the Warp Prism hides back. HasuObs' own Immortals are going to be so slow to respond. And yeah, he's actually going to Warp Prism around the Immortals. This is... oh, Gungfubanda, dude. What have you been doing? What training have you been doing over the last couple months that I've missed? Because I'm loving the way you're playing this game today. I mean, this is such a hard move to pull off. You see a couple players do it. Crank's done it in the past. A couple other select Protoss players. But usually against other matches. Usually not against Protoss players. This is... I like this, though. For those who don't know, the killing power of Immortals is huge. You know, Probes only have 40 health. The Immortals, they hit for, I think it was a 20 base. Yeah, so they can one-shot Probes with there's two of them. Just unload, pick up, unload, pick up. But as we see, picks off the Stalkers like nobody's business with that upgrade. But goes for the weapon upgrades. This is a huge denial, and he should be able to get this. There's just not enough DPS to get here in time to stop this. An overcharge may go down, but the Forge is lost, and so are those weapon upgrades. And Gungfubanda immediately finds a small edge into this game. Picks off the pylon with no ease or no trouble whatsoever. Keeps the Immortals alive. And for those who are kind of newer to StarCraft, maybe you're like, WTF? You know, how did he take so many hits on those units? Immortals' hardened shield effect, what it does is as long as they have shields, anything that damages them that does more than 10 damage is reduced to 10 damage. So when you consider that they have 100 shields, it takes 10 hits from basically anything to strip those shields away. And there's nothing like a Marine with low damage but high DPS, high rate of attack to give them that DPS. So dealing with this is such just a problem. Shields regenerate while inside the Warp Prism as well. I mean, this is just a real pain in the ass is what this is. He's going to actually inch forward here to pick off maybe the Assimilator. No, goes for a probe. He just walks away. Gungfubanda, such a badass. Takes a third while this is going on. And while this doesn't seem like a lot's going on, you guys will be like, Rifkin, shut up. Quit hyping this up. There's nothing going on. That's not the case whatsoever. Gungfubanda is laying down the roadwork he needs right now to really get ahead in this game. He's taking that third base. HasuObs will never push while the threat of this Warp Prism is still flying around. And quite frankly, there's no easy way to deal with this. He's trying to pick off the Warp Prism with the Stalkers. That's his best bet. He has to unload the Immortals. He is! Oh, the Sentry! Almost gonna get this! Is there another overcharge? There's no other overcharge. Gungfubanda is actually gonna escape with by the skin of his teeth. That was almost HasuObs completely shutting this down. He hates his own pylon. Attacks that for no reason, but a whole weapon upgrade over his opponent. Colossus extended thermal lance over his opponent. Third base, key point over his opponent. Gungfubanda, HasuObs is not the guy to get eliminated. HasuObs is the guy I was expecting to go up against Mini Razor, but Gungfubanda is making this work for him. And while this game is not over, guys, one bad engagement versus one good engagement is going to make this game. I don't think we're going to see the disengage that we saw in Game 1. I'm fairly confident, actually, that this is going to be one fell swoop, either with a defensive counterattack or one big maxed out move out of Gungfubanda. For HasuObs, he scouted the third of his opponent. A panic sets in. You're kind of like, oh wow, that's already up. Jesus, I need to get mine going right freaking now. But I kind of feel like this third base is not the base you'd want to take. I kind of feel this is the base you'd want to take on this map because, well, it didn't work out for Night End earlier. Colossus standing down here. Don't need to force pressure on the ramp. Zealots and Immortals have to walk all the way around to deal with this. I mean, the Colossus can hold position here from Gungfubanda and just shell away at the probe line. Same goes for him, of course. HasuObs could apply that same logic, but yeah, I think having an upgrade over your opponent's big enough, but having the ability to push when your opponent can't is huge. However, it's going to be HasuObs that starts moving out. Now, he doesn't have his own Warp Prism. He doesn't have a pylon. Oh, they're actually... Oh, I take that back. So I forgot. I've looked at this 3 times at this point, but he still has this pylon standing on the left side of the map from his earlier DT harass. So he'll actually be able to use this as a forward warp-in location. And this is right next to the middle line. You know, warp some Stalkers, sit at the bottom of the ramp. Some Archons coming in now, too. Oh, man. Gungfubanda's Archons are going to be a little bit late to the party, so that shield advantage is no longer going to be there. But Gungfubanda also doesn't know about the army of HasuObs being here. He's starting to move out. He needs to be at home defensively. HasuObs is going to do what I described Gungfubanda doing instead. A complete role reversal as the Colossus get on top of the probe line. Immediately eradicate a good chunk of the probes. Cannon is killed. Pylon is canceled. And quite frankly, this is a good position. HasuObs doesn't have the Colossus count of his opponent. I don't think he can fight this head on. He knows it. He's going to probably recall if he gets caught. Might try to walk home. No, he just straight up recalls. Not even going to risk it, so. A nice little move there. Nothing game-changing, nothing game-ending. It could have been much worse. Had Gungfubanda not pulled off that mineral line, that would have been every single probe dead. HasuObs, pretty good spot right now. But this was the time Gungfubanda really needed to get that. He recalled as well. He didn't know where HasuObs' army was, and he was scared of getting caught, so he recalled back to the main. Warp Prism still providing a little bit of harass over here. There is a DT on top of this. Where's the detection, though? What's going on here? Where's the observer for the army? All right, whatever. One of the Colossus halfway did. Gungfubanda finding ways to chip into this. But Colossus count, you know, not always the most important thing in PvP. It's got a very important role. It impacts the match greatly, but oftentimes in the late game, you'll hear pros talk about, like, look, after you got about 6 Colossus, they're just kind of a waste. They really have diminishing returns as far as their effectiveness goes. But I love this Warp Prism harass out of Gungfubanda. It's the same Warp Prism from earlier with 10 health, the one that barely lived. I think it's going to go down now as it's starting to fly into the Stalkers, and the Stalkers do not have Blink, but the Warp Prism goes down with 3 Zealots inside of it. Damn, that was a really good way for him to harass. Not that I'm here cheering for one player or the other, but it is really cool watching Gungfubanda play in a completely different style. To the point where I would almost go out of my way to be like, yo, I don't think this is Gungfubanda playing on his account, but he's playing this very, very well. I have to give him credit. He might just make it in the Challenge League. He hallucinates a couple Colossus. This could be a bit of a problem. HasuObs, where is his observer? He has no observer! Dark Templar! If Gungfubanda recognizes, he could send Dark Templar in right now, and HasuObs would have no way to deal with this. Second Robo's coming down, but he's still got no detection. The fake Colossus soaked a lot of the hits. A Time Warp goes down, and HasuObs, well, he's going to defend the third. Oh, Gungfubanda, recognize, please. There's no DTs. Actually, HasuObs, I didn't even catch this, did sneak out a Warp Prism at some point in this game. With a DT, he will be able to hold this. Trying to keep his Templar Archives alive primarily, but he loses 2 of his gateways. Depowering that's going to be huge. But Gungfubanda finds an angle of attack. There's a lot of hallucinated units in this army. What's real? What's fake? I don't even know. Which of you is my real dad? But backs away from the army. I think HasuObs, though, defensively is looking really good. That Warp Prism counterattack is huge. He might not kill the DTs anytime soon. But Gungfubanda pulls the same move he did last game. This is such a stylistic move that we just don't see anyone else doing. I've cast so many PvPs to this point, and I've never seen anyone do specifically what he does, where he segments a portion of his army off as he begins to attack. But, you know, HasuObs gets a lot of kills with the probes down here. The third, he's, of course, depowered these gateways. He did kill the Templar Archive, something I didn't think was going to happen. So now there's no more Archons available to be made for Gungfubanda. He's forced to disengage. And for someone who was ahead at the start of this game, suddenly finds himself very far behind. HasuObs is finishing up level 3 weapon upgrades. HasuObs is 124 army supplied to 96 of his opponent. And HasuObs was able to do damage when those probes... well, actually, both players' probe count is kind of in the shitter, to be honest. But the thing for HasuObs is off 2 bases. 40 probes you can kind of make work, give or take. But yeah, losing that probe line at that third for both players, not what they wanted to have happen. I think the bottom line, though, we look at the unit composition right now. It's 12 zealots to 12. You know, there's the fluff, there's the archons. Both players are going to have that sort of layer of melee to wall off, but it's 7 colossus to 5. And the advantage on this map for the attacker is that Gungfubanda is going to have to filter through a ramp to attack. If HasuObs can take a nice concave outside of it, perhaps win that fight without any question. Focuses on the cannon right away. HasuObs still without an observer. No, he does have an observer now, but it's nowhere close to the army. So this DT is going to keep killing cannons so they can keep killing probes. HasuObs' probe count is kind of in the gutter, as pointed out before, guys. So this is not a great situation for him. But a warp prism full of zealots and DTs once again ready to unleash itself here. But the Stalker's waiting. He knows this is coming back. A 4th base being established for Gungfubanda. And this is not the PvP I expected. I'm fully happy that this is where it's going, because this is actually, in terms of PvP especially, a very exciting match. Despite the fact that not a lot of big clashes have gone on, but we do see that perfect sort of segmented attack. The harass out of both players has been absolutely just off the charts. And HasuObs, I gotta tell you, he was looking behind for a good chunk of this game. I mean, commanding third timing, picking up the level 1 weapon upgrades. Gungfubanda was doing it right, but now he finds himself pretty far behind. His army supply still hasn't caught up to that of his opponents, and HasuObs, you know, this warp prism could end the game, quite frankly. There's a lot of cannons up now, though, actually, so I take that back. I didn't realize he had thrown like 4 down as a response. I love this Stargate, though. This is such a smart move, because this isn't going to be for Void Race. This isn't going to be for a Phoenix. Well, maybe actually 1 or 2 to do with Warp Prism, but this is probably going to be for Tempest, folks. When you recognize you're behind and you got to play defensively, it's the thing you got to do. And playing defensively, oh no, why is he not knocking down the debris? Oh, that might kill him on the retreat. Oh, having this debris field up is a really bad thing here. Templar Archives is being replaced, but we don't see a fleet beacon being thrown down. I kind of thought he was going straight to Tempest, so I take that back. I rescind my prediction. But, you know, this is all the time in the world he needed to at least catch up on upgrades. HasuObs no longer monstrously far ahead with that tech advantage, but he does have a great army supply and a much bigger bank than that of his opponent. Zealots combined with the DT and the main are going to chase around to the cannons, avoid the cannons. HasuObs is actually taking very good care of his units right now. But yeah, here's that harass I was talking about. Just sieges up that third base, clears out the mineral lines. 40. Oh no, so it's the other way around. I guess the probes are pulled. Yeah, they were pulled. So good reaction out of Gungfubanda once again. Very dangerous situation to be in, but looks like the attack might just come down. 20 zealots to 15. This warp prism needs to come back and warp in behind the Colossus, I feel, at this point. HasuObs' own Colossus so awkwardly dancing around the back of this. Gungfubanda's got the DPS he needs, but HasuObs' Colossus are busy being absolutely horrible with their AI. However, with the Immortal count and the Colossus count still standing strong, he's looking to push forward, and Gungfubanda needs to get some layers for his army. Colossus are strong, but not when they've got nothing to protect them. 9 Colossus versus 8. Okay, he's maybe in a not bad spot, but this 4th base is going to go down if he's not careful. Looking for the perfect engagement. Knows that if he walks forward, he walks into AoE of his opponent. Trying to spread the Colossus. Going to move forward with this. He's got a good advantage with his concave, but is this going to be enough? The Nexus sharing some of the hits. Colossus are starting to fall down for both players. The Immortals have almost been wiped out of this equation, but looks like HasuObs might have just barely enough, especially with his Zealot Warp in. There's no continued harass here in the main. I was expecting more to come down, but you know, he says, screw it. You can fight with your Colossus all day. I'll just go for your third instead. Gungfubanda pulling off once again. And I gotta give him credit, guys. Gungfubanda is... he's making this work way better than I thought he was going to. This was a situation where I thought he was dead in the water, but he holds on for another moment. Going back to the protection tab for a second, there's nothing going on, guys. We're just looking at the unit count right now. It's going to be warp-ins. It's going to be a dangerous situation. But HasuObs... Oh, does he have a probe with the armor? Oh, he does have a probe with the armor. Okay, thank God. Those DTs could have wrecked. These Colossus are so low. This one has 6 HP, but back in the main, still with this Warp Prism uncontested, unchanged. 1 Stalker warped it underneath it. Maybe he's going to get an Archon. He's going to make an Archon in the main of his opponent. There's no probes to kill. But, this is a hard unit to deal with. Middle of the map, we still got this Colossus Wars going on. We got a 4th base coming out of HasuObs in a very unlikely position, but... I think in this this particular case, you know, double the army supply pretty much says it for the game. DTs are killed because HasuObs has his own observer this time. No easy mode defense of the Zealots. Gungfubanda, the second he brings the Colossus back to deal with this, HasuObs pushes. The second he sees the army for Gungfubanda is out of position, that 3rd base falls without question. And he's sadly just giving up. In fact, the Stargate's going to go down. This didn't get to build a damn thing this game. No Void Rays, no Phoenix. We got the Gateway dying as well. This is not a good situation to be in. HasuObs once again pushes off the third base. This is that Cliff really just playing against Gungfubanda. He could be doing the same thing, but because he's forced to defend, he can't. And this is just a good way to abuse the trade on this map for HasuObs. Lots of Zealots going to charge forward. The Colossus count's still high for both players, but as we look at the numbers dwindle, there's just no buffer. The Archons move forward. This allows the Colossus to get the blast lane. A GG is going to be called. HasuObs will even up the series 1-1, and this will take us to game number 3 in this one select PvP series that I don't hate casting. But okay, guys. Okay. I want to stress we're following this series because one of the biggest things is the winner of this goes on to fight against Mini Razor. So if you're enjoying this series, trust me, you're gonna enjoy the next one even better. But thank you guys for joining me on the cast so far. I gotta go ahead and boost Trude TV to this. And that'll set our giveaway here to 10 out of 9. So if you missed the announcement earlier, guys, if you're sticking around on the channel, if you've been on the channel before, you've likely got Partoofs earned and in your pocket. You can use those to purchase some raffle tickets at the end of the broadcast in order to try and win a Steam giveaway. A game giveaway, whatever you want to call it. But for now, though, we focus on the game at hand. And did I just need a fly? Ugh, sorry. Weird. Game number 3 with Overgrowth coming up here in just a moment's time.